What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the Cyber Healer channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the best solo queue operators for your casual games, your unranked games, your ranked games, whatever you're doing. If you just don't have anyone to play with or anything like that, these are your operators for you. Before we get into this video, a few things I want to state. So make sure you high-five that like button. Helps out my channel a lot. And if you want to pick up any of the peripherals I use down below, there'll be links to all of that. And without further ado, let's get into this video. I want to start off by saying that, if possible, try to find a teammate. Don't immediately solo queue. It's not the right way to do things, and you'll end up losing more games than winning games. But if you have to solo queue, this is the operators you should do it with. Coming in, and there's no list here. There's a list, but there's no ranking. There's 2 defenders and 2 attackers. So I'm going to go with the first defender on our list is going to be Jaeger. You can't go wrong with him. He's a very good operator. His RCO1 carbine, R1 carbine, whatever it's called, very good gun. Fast rate of fire, does a lot of damage. Pretty decent recoil if you ask me, and you can get a lot of kills with it. So you're not losing in the fragging potential there. And you also have the, what's his device called? His anti-grenade device is what we'll call it. Anti-projectile. He just can place those 3 of those down anywhere. And especially with that new rework, I consider it to be a buff, but some people don't. Now you can just kind of place them, and every 10 seconds you can use one, which is great, in my opinion. That way you don't run out of them. There still can be shot and stuff, so that's okay. But overall, Jaeger is very strong. He brings a lot to the table, given that he is a 2 speed, 2 armor. Pretty solid operator in that department. Has a great, doesn't have his ACOG like he used to, but can still be used for spawn peaks, using if you know the right angle. Overall, if you bring a Jaeger, you're going to have a pretty okay time in solo queue. Next up on our defender list is going to be Capcan. And I know I rated Capcan pretty low in my operator tier list video, but we're talking about a team base in that. Here we're talking about solo queue. He can set and forget his traps a lot like Jaeger. His gun has virtually no recoil, so you can just clip those heads and they're gone. You can pretty much do anything you need to, kill potential wise, with Capcan. His traps do a lot of damage. He's pretty mobile and can get around the map fast enough to get his traps placed in weird spots where people wouldn't expect them. He fits well into almost any team composition to stall attackers, hold down a site, anchor that, or he can roam if he has to. He works well anywhere, and he doesn't need a lot of team communication, which you'll see in most of these ops, to really get the job done. Now, all these operators are better with team communication, but we're talking about solo queue. Next up in our attacker list is going to be Ash. I want to say Ash. And here's why I say Ash. She's a 3 speed, 1 armor attacker. She doesn't work. Her guns have virtually no recoil, which is great. You always want a no recoil gun, so you can just like get kills and frag out, and that allows you to make way for your team. And I'm not saying with solo queue you can't kind of communicate, but it is harder. So it makes it much easier to get the kills and move on. She can open up walls and you can rush in fast and get the kills. Her kit is focused around just getting to the objective, and that's really good when you're playing on your own in solo queue, because if you're with a team, you might have a strategy, work your way down or work your way up, and that's great. But on solo queue, you're really just trying to knock out the enemies. That's kind of the job. So that's why Ash works really well on her own. And she also works really well in, other team-based compositions. But she will work well with anything put on her team, granted that she has the means to do so. So that's why I put Ash on this list for an attacker. And then next on this list, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put Sledge. And Sludge works a lot like Ash. He can open up the wall, let all of his teammates in. He's got great fragging power with his gun. And he has an ACOG. So, you're never going to go wrong with that. He can basically hit heads like there's no tomorrow. His gun does have more recoil, in my opinion, than any other gun on this list, but that's not really the point. The point is he works very well alone and can be pushed in. He can push on sites a lot more than any other operator, in my opinion, on this list, because of what he brings. He has the frag grenades. He has his SMG-11, the best secondary in the game. He has his gun. And those all work really well with his ability also to play vertically. He can slam through the floor and throw grenades through there. He can go through a wall and chunk some in before he enters. He works really well on his own. He's like a one-man wrecking crew, which I think, in my personal opinion, the developers of Rainbow Six Siege were really trying to make Sledge. And yes, he does work really well as that soft breacher over Ash if you're trying to work without any team casualties with explosions. I would bring him over Ash, but those two operators work really well in solo queue because of their ability to play kind of alone and not with other people. But they can still work with other people pretty well. And with that, guys, that's my list for the best defenders and attackers for solo queue. And if you like what I do here, make sure you high-five that subscribe button and press that like button so that way you always stay up to date. And if you like and that's all I have for today. See you next time.